Hi guys, good morning. So today we are going to see our practical photography paper, which is in your third semester. You already learned your basic photography in second semester. So you all know what is photography and what is the history of photography. Everything you learned in second semester itself. Now we going into the practical photography paper. So before going to practical photography paper, I just want to recall all the basic photography things. நீங்கள் செகண்ட் செமஸ்டரில் பேசிக் ஃபோட்டோகிராஃபி லேர்ன் பண்ணிங்க. ஸோ இப்போ நிறைய கேப் வந்துச்சு. அகைன் நம்ம இப்போ ப்ராக்டிக்கல் ஃபோட்டோகிராஃபிக்குள்ளே போக போகிறோம். ஸோ பிஃபோர் தட் ஒரு கிளான்ஸ் திரும்ப ரீகால் த பேசிக் ஃபோட்டோகிராஃபி. ஸோ ஆஃப்டர் ரீகாலிங் திஸ் பேசிக் ஃபோட்டோகிராஃபி செஷன் we go to the practical photography sessions. Okay, so I go with the PPT. Okay, today's session is about basic photography. So we starting our practical photography paper with a basic photography session. Okay, so what we going to see in this session, I have prepared a PPT. So how do a camera works, you all know, you already learned in second semester itself. So understanding the exposure and digital camera settings and equipments what all we used other than the camera, and a few tips. That's it. Okay, so this is your camera skeleton. What you seeing is inside the camera. This is the functioning happening inside the camera. See, first the light enters into the lens, then hits to the mirror, then it's transfer the lights to the pentaprism. After hitting the pentaprism, it reflects to the viewfinder, where we going to see the output image. So we have a recording medium here in the green color. So in SLR camera we use film rolls as a recording medium. Now we have a sensor, and this is your reflecting mirror, which helps you to see through the viewfinder. And next three pillars of photography. So you all know what is the main three pillars of photography. First one is your shutter, so which allows you to freeze the moment, shutter. And second one is your aperture, second pillar of photography. And third one is your ISO. So one who is familiar with shutter, aperture and ISO, he or she can make a perfect picture. Okay, you all know where is the shutter readings and aperture and ISO readings. So I show you in the image. So first we can see the shutter speed, and second one we can see the aperture, and third one is an ISO. Okay, first we see what is shutter and what is happening inside the camera when we press the shutter. Here we have an example image. So it starts from 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 8 seconds, 4 seconds. We have 8000 shutter speed. So each shutter speed, it used to freeze the moment. It depends on the subject, whether the subject is moving or it is in still. So if it's a static subject, we're going to take a product photography, so we can use a low shutter for taking still life products. So when we going to use high shutters, when we want to freeze the moment, someone is dancing or someone in the sports, according to the subject which is in moving or not in moving, so we should use our shutter speed alternatively to that. Here we have an example, time of flight. In this image, one person is running. So for example, so first image, 1/500, a person is moving, is captured very well, and 250 and 125. So when the shutter speed is getting low, we can see the movement of the subject. So according to your shutter speed, you can capture your moving image. Again, one more example for the shutter speed. So this is a fan. So it's captured in 500. So when it's captured in 1/500, it looks like freezing, and 1/30, little shake in your fan speed, and in 1/4 it's completely it was in rolling. So this is the original image. Here we can see the bottom of this fan is it was clear because the subject is not in the moving, whereas the blades of the fan is in blur because it was in moving. So shutter speed is not enough for this image. When we going to take this type of moving images, we need to increase our shutter speed. So I have one more example for the shutter speed. 3 images I have taken for example. So one is a fast 1/500 image. So this is a sports photography. So when the subject is moving fast, if you want to capture without any blur, you have to at least use 1/500. And second one, medium mode, so 1/60. So usually 1/60 can use for a still life subject when the subject is not in a moving. So we can use 160. For if you use this for a moving subject, we can see the motion blur. And slow, it's 1 second shutter. So in this image you can see the rocks are very idle, but the waterfalls is in moving condition. So it captures the waterfalls till 1 second. So we can see the smoke effect. We'll move to the aperture. So what is aperture? Aperture is amount of light. So not only the amount of light entering into the camera, it also affects the depth of field. So I explain you with some example images. So first this is the example for your larger aperture and small aperture and medium aperture. So when we use a larger aperture, we get over exposure. When we use medium aperture, so it allows a minimum light. When we use small aperture, it reduces the light which enters the camera. Second example, I have an example of a lens which shows different aperture level. So this is a full open, so 1.4 for this lens, and this is 2.0 and 2.8. So when the amount of f-stop increases, the amount of light coming inside will be decreases. So this is a concept of aperture. You already know that. Large versus small aperture. So we are going to see here what happens when we use a large aperture and small aperture. So this is the aperture blade where we have 2.8, we have full open, and it reduces 1/1 to up to f22. So we coming to the topic about depth of field now. So larger aperture gives minimum depth of field. Let it be imagine this is a foreground and this is a mid and this is a background. Okay, so this is a foreground, midground and background. So when we using open aperture, that is a large aperture opening, so we can focus only the limited area. Okay, so we can focus only the limited area. So if we close the aperture, we have smaller aperture, so we can increase our depth of field, and we can have our depth of field in more areas. Again we have one more example for depth of field. See, same thing. So when we use a narrow depth of field open aperture, so we can focus only a limited area. When we have a smaller opening in our aperture, we can cover a large depth of field area. So this is an example. And already I said, foreground, background. So if you want to get your background also with a clear depth of field, so you should use a higher aperture which closes your aperture ring to get a larger depth of field. Okay, we are going to see now third pillar of our photography, that's ISO. Okay, ISO means it's a sensitivity of image sensor. So sensitivity not only for you can increase in image sensor, also it's used in film rolls also. Whatever the sensitivity amount we give, according to that amount, it gives more light on your recording. We have 100 low ISO, 100, then it goes to 200, 400, 800, 1600, 3200 and 6400 ISO. So whatever the light we capturing in 100 ISO, we can gain the light by increasing the ISO to 200. So gain more light by increasing to 400. Like vice versa, we can increase our gaining light by increasing our ISO. Here we have an example image. So this took in 100 ISO, 200, 400, 800, 1600. In this image, the changes only made only in ISO, not in aperture and shutter. So in each ISO readings, we get different light inputs. So next we are going to see about the disadvantage in ISO increasing. So this image noise, we get image noise, grains we said. So this is the example. So this first image ISO 200 and the second image 3200 ISO, whereas we can identify the difference between two images. So first image it was clear, and second image is full of grains, is filled with full of grains. So this is a disadvantage we get in increasing our ISO. Next we are going to see our exposure triangle. So we have three pillars of photography. So we are going to link that: aperture, shutter speed and ISO. So these three are interlinked. So we can control our exposure lighting using this aperture, shutter speed and ISO. When adjusting these three, we should aware of the disadvantages and advantages what we get in this adjustment. First we look at the aperture. We should know depth of field, or what depth of field we need in the image. So according to the image depth of field, you should set the aperture. And second one, shutter speed, motion. So here we have to look on the motion blur. If we go to low shutter, it gives a motion blur. If we go to high shutter, it freezes. According to the subject, we need to choose this shutter. And ISO, it gives grain when it increase, you already know. Okay. Next, digital camera settings. So this is your shutter speed, aperture, ISO and exposure compensation, and we have drive mode, styles. So this is your mode, which mode we have, and we have white balance and one shot and battery levels, and which type of mode you taking, RAW or JPG, and number of photos you can take. So this is all you can see in your digital camera settings. So next we are going to see about our metering. What is metering? So camera has a inbuilt metering system which evaluates the image through the lens, and it gives a report about available lighting in the image. Okay. Here we are seeing the exposure compensation. So this is a -2, 1, 0, +1 and +2. When we are adjusting our exposure, that is shutter, aperture and ISO, we should get the 0 value to get a perfect lighting image. So when it goes to -1 or -2, so the photo is under exposure. When it goes to +1 or +2, the photo is in overexposure. So we should match the metering level to 0 to get a perfect image. Okay. This metering mode, few cameras have these settings, whereas center weighted and spot, partial metering and evaluative metering. According to this metering mode, the camera evaluate the lighting available in that image. So I have an example image here which took in 3 exposures. So this one is -1 and this is 0, which is perfect image, and second one is +1. So exposure compensation. So we can take 3 images at a time by clicking the shutter button 3 times. So whereas we can take -1, 0 and also in +1, whereas also we can take in -2, 0 or +2. So we should set before taking the image. So we get 3 images. You can identify here, whereas in this first image the background lighting is good, and this second image the flower lighting is good, and this third image, whereas in the dark area the lighting is good. So, some photographers use this technique to capture 3 types of lightings, in minus or 0 or in +1. So this in this way we use this metering settings. Next we are going to see shutter drive mode. You know what is shutter? When we click the trigger, shutter will allows the light into the sensor. Okay. So we have different shutter drive modes. So first one is single shot. So when we click the shutter, it takes a single shot, and second one is a high shutter speed. Both the mode we use for continuous recording, whereas we can use this for a high high speed capturing like sports photography like that. Third one, low continuous drive. We use it for stop motion pictures. And fourth one, we have a silent single mode. In this silent single shot mode, we won't get the digital sound, clicking digital sound. So next one is silent continuous shot. So same continuous shot but in silent mode, we won't get the digital clicking sound. And the next one is a remote trigger, and last one is a timer trigger. So we have 7 types of drive mode which we can use according to our subject. So here is an example. So this image is took in a high continuous shutter drive mode. So it takes several pictures in 2 to 3 seconds. Next we are going to see our picture style mode. In picture style we have auto, standard, portrait, landscape and neutral and faithful. So if we are going to do a portrait shot, so we can use this portrait mode, whereas we are going to take a landscape image, so we can use this landscape picture style. So according to that picture style, you get the color and the sharpness, contrast, everything. Also we can customize this thing. So like this we get when we customizing this picture style. Whereas we have sharpness, contrast, saturation and color tone. So according to our need, we can customize this settings. Okay, now we are going to see, other than the camera, what are the equipments we may require. So first one, tripod. So you all know what is the use of tripod. So using the tripod we can avoid our camera shake. So when we handholding the camera will be shake in low shutters. So you can avoid this type of camera shakes using our tripod. Next, bags. So you should choose your bag, depends on your need. If you are a street photographer, it is very comfortable with shoulder bags itself. So we are going to take wide angle lens with a camera. Whereas we are going for a wedding photography or as a modeling photography, we need a rolling bag, which we have more stuffs like flash, extra batteries and memory card slots. So like that. Then memory card. So we have different types of memory card which captures different qualities and speed. If you are going to capture a sports photography in a high shutter continuous, in the time we need a fast card. We cannot use a low speed card for that type of photography. So you need to learn about the card speed and card capacity. Whereas you are going to take a single portrait, we not need speed cards. So we can go with a slow card itself. Okay, extra batteries. Not only a photographer, even a videographers use DSLR. At that time we need an extra spare battery which helps to continue our shoot without any time gap. If you are going to get a duplicate battery, don't go for cheaper one. Off-brand batteries are usually cheaper, so it may harm your camera. So be careful on that. And polarized filter. So polarized filter also we have original and duplicate like that. And before you going to buy a polarized filter or any UV filter in online, just check with your lens thread size and after that you should order it. So next we are going to see about flash. Flash is also known as a speed light, whereas we can fill our weaker background and we get ambient light with flash. So most of the professional photographers have flash with them, so they won't use the flash directly, they bounce and fill the ambient, they will take the photograph. This is one of the important equipment we use with the camera. So again, an important thing, we should clean our camera equipments regularly. So we need a cleaning kit like this microfiber cloth, so which won't damage your lens coatings, and racket blower to remove dust. And we have more other equipments which is countless. We have triggers and we have reflectors, many. So I just mentioned a few here. Tips. Now we go for the tips for the photographers. Okay, first, source of learning. Usually the most photographers getting their learning source from YouTube or some websites, from photographer websites. In YouTube itself we get all videos regarding the photography, whereas in our same language we can get the source of learning. All DSLR will not suit for all the commercial industries. We should choose our DSLR for our need. Before buying our DSLR, we should learn what are the features, what are the special features it's available in that particular model, and that we have to buy it. So depend on the photography industry we choose, whereas for a wildlife or as a product or a modeling photography or a wedding photographer. So what work we going to do with which industry, depend on that we should choose our lens and body. So we cannot take a wide angle and go for a wildlife photography. We should choose our body and lens for our needs. 1855 standard lens, which comes with 3.5 and 5.6, it gives a very less amount of light, whereas when compared to the prime lens, which has 1.4 and 1.2 opening also. So we should try the different types of lenses. If you see this image, so we cannot take this type of images using this 1855 mm lens. So we need to go more special lens for these types of photography. So this is one of the important tips. Follow the best photographers pages. So we have all the photographers now, we can catch them online through Instagram or Twitter or anything. So start following them. Photographers usually they are updating their regular works. On following them, you can update yourself. Okay, covering the story of event. If you get an opportunity to cover an event, so like it may be a birthday, it may be an inauguration function, it may be a housewarming, anything. So you start covering it like a story. So whereas where it starts and where it ends, it should be a starting point. Most of the photographers following these techniques, like giving the content with the story, with a starting point and ending point. Okay. Now we are going to see our topics which we are going to cover in this semester. So I show you the topics. So these are the topics of black and white, bulb, shutter, and colors, candid, depth of field, environment, events, frame in frame, freezing, industrial photography, journalism, landscape, macro, model, montage, monuments, night photography, panorama, photo feature, product, pattern, texture, portrait, reflection, silhouette, strobe effect, and wildlife. So on these topics we are going to submit, each topic we are going to submit 2 photos for our record works. So what you going to do is, first of all you should clear with these topics, what type of photograph you are going to take on these topics, and no manipulation, editing are allowed in this project. So you are going to take a photo and you are going to print it and make it as an album. That's it. So no editing, no manipulation, nothing you are going to do in this practical photography project. Each topic we are going to take 2 photos. So before taking photos, you should know all the settings. Few topics we have to pre-plan and take the photos, whereas like bulb shutter and color, freezing. So some topics we have to plan and take. Okay, thank you.